Good evening. Good evening. I can tell everybody's having a good time. No one wants to stop visiting. That's good news. We're going to go ahead and start our program. I hope that everybody has had a wonderful time, that you got a chance to visit the 4 seasons of the weather, and we're so happy that you're here. I'm Lisa Lewis. I'm President and CEO of the Alumni Association. There is more food coming around, so if you didn't get a chance to grab an appetizer when you were in one of the seasonal rooms, it's coming to your table, and so feel free to enjoy drinks and dinner and dessert throughout the evening. We're going to start the program tonight with a short video, so I encourage you to turn your attention to the screen. Well, we're delighted that you joined us this evening. Year after year, we bring alumni and university supporters together to celebrate the great impact of our 445,000 alumni around the world. Our role at the Alumni Association is to build a strong global alumni community that makes a difference for each other and for the university. Together, we can enrich the lives of alumni. Together, we can inspire and support student success. And together, we can advance the University of Minnesota in the value of every degree. So the video clip that you saw just a minute ago is a snapshot of how alumni have taken their University of Minnesota education into their communities and made an impact on the world. From inspiring young minds to creating new ways of doing business that bolster the economy, to touching the lives of the next great visionaries, university alumni are making a difference in the world in big ways and small. And with nearly 500,000 alumni around the world, imagine the impact of this extraordinary group can have to ensure a strong and vibrant university for generations to come. Alumni do make a difference for each other, for our students, and for the university. Many of you tonight are part of that legacy of leadership and service. We're grateful for all that you have done and that you continue to do to guide the university in a very positive direction. And there are many special friends and guests with us tonight, but I'd like to acknowledge just a few to begin. And if you'd hold your applause, I'd appreciate that, so we'll move through the program. First, we've got a number of regents who are guiding the university and doing a great job leading. Regent Rick Beeson, if you will just raise your hand or stand. Regent Linda Cohen. Regent Dean Johnson. Regent Laura Broad. And Regent Abdul Amari. Thank you for being here. In addition, we've got some terrific academic leaders with us tonight. Brian Burr from CFANS, Trevor Ames from Veterinary Medicine, Connie Delaney from Nursing, Bev Durgan from Extension, and John Finnegan from Public Health. Please welcome our deans. I'm also happy to welcome a very familiar face to the Alumni Association. She led the organization for 25 years, and she built the foundation upon which our work is done today. And in fact, I'm not sure we would be in this building without the work of Margaret Carlson. So Margaret, it's great to have you here. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to our members. We couldn't do the work that we do every day, the work that you saw in that video, without the support of our members. So for those of you who have chosen to step up to be either an annual member or a life member, we appreciate that support. You allow us to fulfill our mission. In addition, I'd like to thank our alumni staff. They've done a fantastic job putting on this event. I challenged them to be creative with the event, and I think they succeeded with 4 seasons. And the only thing we were missing is the band 4 seasons. So thank you to our staff. And finally, I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge our sponsor, Access Minnesota, and alumnus Jim Dubois. This event would not have been possible without Jim. Now, Jim is more than just a sponsor and an alumnus. He also happens to be my boss. He is chair of the Alumni Association Board of Directors, and he has given a tremendous amount of time and energy and passion and leadership to the Alumni Association. He has made sure that our goals are on track and that we're headed in the right direction. Now, Jim's job hasn't always been difficult because he did get to go to the Citrus Bowl and represent the UMAA, and go back to Florida 2 weeks later in January for mini college. So there are some perks to the job, but Jim is truly an outstanding leader. Please join me in welcoming Jim Dubois.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It has been a true honor to serve as board chair over the last year. It's provided me with the opportunity to do so many great things, the Citrus Bowl and the Florida Mini College among them, given me opportunities to give back to my alma mater, to support the mission of the Alumni Association, and to engage with alumni from all over the state, the country, and the world. We are especially pleased to have so many past board members, including board presidents and chairs, here with us this evening as well. Please join me in recognizing the current and past Alumni Association board members, and please raise your hands so we can all see where you are. Thank you so much for your service. And now for a few brief moments, we do have some business to conduct. First of all, I would like to thank past board chair Susan Adams-Lloyd, who chaired our nominating board development committee. The committee did an outstanding job of identifying excellent board candidates. We are honored to present 3 new candidates this evening and the re-election of 2 more who will volunteer their time and talents and energies to further the goals of the Alumni Association and the university through service on the Alumni Association Board. The Nominating Board Development Committee recommends the approval of the following individuals to serve on the University of Minnesota Alumni Association Board of Directors: Natasha Freimark, Chad Haldeman, Maureen Kostel, Peter Martin, and Clint Schaaf. And if you'll hold your applause, we actually do have to vote for them, believe it or not. So the Nominating Board Development Committee has provided a second to this motion to approve our slate of board candidates. All Alumni Association members in favor, please say aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Congratulations to our new and renominated board members. And please take a moment to thank our entire dedicated board of directors for the Alumni Association. And now it is my honor to introduce to you Allison Page, who will become board chair on the 1st of July. Allison is a 1996 graduate of the University of Minnesota. She is an experienced healthcare administration professional. Currently, she is the CEO of Baldwin Area Medical Center. She's a devout supporter of the U of M, and Allison has been very deeply involved with the MHA Alumni Board and School of Public Health, has mentored students in that program for more than 15 years, and has been a member of the Alumni Association's Board of Directors for 7 years. Please join me in welcoming Allison Page. And Allison, it is with great respect and pride that I pass to you this gavel as the incoming chair, the 79th chair of the University of Minnesota Alumni Association. Congratulations.
Thanks, Jim. The first thing that I would like to do is pause for just 1 second and thank Jim for his service. As Lisa said earlier, Jim has been an unbelievable representative for the Alumni Association. He has exhibited such passion and such energy over the course of the last year, and will continue to do that until July, because I don't really start hammering this thing till later in the year, I don't think. So please join me in thanking Jim Dubois for all his service. I can't really tell you what an absolute honor it is to serve in this capacity. It really never occurred to me when I graduated from the University of Minnesota that I'd be standing here one day representing the alumni. But for anyone who's gone to the university, when you spend time here, and then you graduate and begin to become a part of the students' lives as they go forward, you just build and build and build in your enthusiasm and excitement for what we do here. We have such opportunity and such great opportunities, as Lisa referenced earlier, to enrich the lives of the alumni, the 500,000 people who have graduated from this organization, to open doors and create opportunities for the students who come after us, and to do everything we can every day to make this a great, great institution. So I am thrilled to represent you and to serve the university in this manner for the course of the next year. Thank you very much. And I would like now to turn the podium back over to Jim, and Jim's going to introduce our guest speaker tonight.
Well, if any of you recall the tragic North Minneapolis tornado of 2011, we had dedicated an episode of our public affairs show, Access Minnesota, to covering that event and talking more broadly about severe weather. We also dedicated 2 of our radio shows to that topic, and whenever we need expertise, we always come to the University of Minnesota because we know some of the greatest experts in any conceivable area are right here on campus. And that's how we ran into Kenny Blumenfeld. Kenny was known at the time as an expert on urban tornadoes. He still is. He's an expert on extreme weather conditions. He's an expert on climate change, among other things. Kenny is with the Hennepin County Emergency Management. He has a prime role there, and also was recently named the senior climatologist for the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, which brings him back to the St. Paul campus of the University of Minnesota. He holds 3 degrees from the U of M, and Kenny will be the first to tell you one of the reasons he really loves the U is he spent a lot of money here. So with that, I'd like to welcome Kenny Blumenfeld.
Sound check. We hear me in the back? Good. Thank you guys so much. Before I get started, I need you to do me a favor. I need everybody to look like you're sound asleep. Heads back, maybe like this, mouth open. Seriously. Because I'm a storyteller and I want to control this story real well. So come on, look asleep, everybody. Look asleep. All right? Perfect. Perfect. Okay. One more, looking even more asleep. Yes. Great. Okay. Now, will you, I need you to now, I need a standing ovation. Come on, up. Come on. Oh, yeah. All right. I get to control the story. Thanks, everybody. It's an honor to be here. When you do public speaking, you always struggle. What joke do you start with? It's a difficult decision. So the first one, I guess, when Jim invited me to be the speaker for this year's celebration, I said, well, okay, sure, Jim, tell me a little bit about the evening. And he said, oh, it's a big gathering. You know, a lot of alum show up here. We have some representation from around the university. And, you know, we have a business meeting and then the celebration. I said, business meeting? I thought it was a celebration. What are you having a meeting for? But you guys pulled it off nicely. And, you know, I'm glad you guys were able to pass the gavel. And this is a great organization. So thanks to everybody who's contributed, who's here tonight, all the people who are involved in this. You guys are doing great work. So when the committee got together to plan this evening, my understanding was they hadn't done a lot of theming in previous events, and so they decided we're going to theme this to the seasons, right? And so I tried to theme what I'm talking about to the seasons. Oh, by the way, what am I pointing this at to advance? Yeah, that. Okay. So before we start, I want to know a little bit about this audience. Okay, so just put your hands up. I don't need, who's from Minnesota here? Yeah. Okay, all right. Who's from Wisconsin? Hey. This is a friendly environment, people. Who's from, we'll just call it elsewhere. Who's from a different continent? Fantastic. That's we call that diversity, Minnesota style. All right. Let me see who got their bachelor's degree here. How about a MA or MS degree? PhD? All right. MD? JD? MFA? Where's the artists? MFA? MBA? And something I didn't name. Hey, oh, I missed a big something or other. Well, it's great to get to know you in this. Before the event, I was walking around talking to people, and I didn't know who I would run into, so I ran into someone I grew up playing soccer with, Mark Bachman. Put your hand up. I ran into the guy who medicated and also euthanized my cats, Dr. Mike McMenemy from the Kitty Clinic. Thank you. I bumped into three incredibly bright, opportunistic young students still at the school who they know how to say yes to a free event. You got Keaton, Grady, and Paul. Put your hands up. These guys. I said to these guys, so the speaker tonight apparently can connect with young people, but I don't know what they're thinking. And they say, yeah, I've never heard of him. So, that's good though, because, you know, like, why should you have? So anyway, I'm really happy to be here. So, you know, I've always been interested in the weather. I actually grew up in Minnesota. I did get 3 degrees at the university. I just felt like after the first one, I was really getting going, and then I might as well get another one, and then, well, this seems fun and easy and expensive, so hey, I'm all the way in now. I do want to say, even though Jim mentioned that I do work with Hennepin County Emergency Management, and I also was recently appointed to the State Climatology Office for the DNR. I'm here as myself, so if anything I say tonight bothers you, do not blame my employer. All right, now hopefully you have something, a seasonal cocktail of some sort in front of you, because it's going to be toasting time. What to begin with? So there's mine, still warm. I do also want to say, I do a small amount of public speaking, and I occasionally dip into my own material, but I can't seem to break the habit of doing talks that are about 90% customized. So each one is different. This one I did customize for this occasion, so lest you think that this is a canned talk. You know, of course, if you want to make money doing public speaking, you need to be much more efficient than I am. You can't go and make a brand new talk every time you do one. But, you know, I think each experience and each audience is unique, and I want to give them something different. So this theme of seasons, which we do so well in Minnesota, definitely demanded something new. All right, so I want to begin with a toast, and this is a real toast, to all of the seasons. You know them. They define our region economically, agriculturally, recreationally. They're deeply woven into our collective sense of place. They amaze us with their diversity. They frighten us with their amplitude and their power, and they tempt us. They torture us, they shock us, they sedate us, they excite us, entice us, they bore us to death, and they are among us, yet they're also entirely indifferent to us. Our seasons, we believe, are special because each is so distinct. In the climatology community, we say we're intensely seasonal. Our seasons are sharp, they're noticeable. And, you know, we also live here and we take our seasons for granted. We say, hey, they're going to come, but we often forget why they do. And I find the whole story of why we have our seasons kind of magical. It would be cliche and also somewhat incorrect to just say, hey, this whole story of the seasons is just the sun. It's just caused by the sun, and if we just left it at that, that would be a little bit incorrect, because we know better. It's the sun, it's interacting with our planet. And not just our planet as a singular body, but our planet as all of its major parts. So we have the atmosphere, the solid earth, the water, the ice, and we have life. And it's not just interaction, which interaction is sort of a catchy word that means, and then a bunch of things happen. It's actually the sun activating these other components. So the sunlight or the loss of it sets in motion or halts a number of other vital processes, and then these processes often control the weather that we love or hate. So this is the story of the seasons. It's the sun, it's our atmosphere's reaction to the changes in the duration and intensity of the sunlight. Now let me show you an example. We'll try that again, we'll try that. No, I don't want to animate that. Come, there, this. Look at this. 2 instances of a spectacular day. Now, I just want to see a show of hands. Who can look at this picture and sees a spectacular day in these photos? Isn't that a great looking day? All right, you see that? How many of you think this is spectacular because of the blue sky and the billowy clouds. Keep your hands up. Now, please raise your hand if you saw this photo, these photos, and had no idea that they are showing you severe thunderstorms. Put your hands up if you didn't know. Those are both severe thunderstorms. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would look at that and not know and not even understand that there's any inclement weather there at all. Now, I know, for example, my mother still doesn't get it, and I've been telling her this for like 35 years. Like, Mom, big clouds, storm, big cloud, storm. And I was teaching a spotting class the other night, and one of the students actually said, I just look at it and I see regular clouds. So I'll just give you one rule of thumb you can take home. Big clouds, storm. And indeed, this is one of my favorite sites. The idea of understanding these mechanisms cost me a lot of money. And it's also a major source of revenue for atmospheric science departments around the world. But this thunderstorm, this elegant beast, this has a season of its own here in Minnesota. So with this crude animation, which is courtesy of Western Washington University, you can see a distinct surge in lightning patterns. This is lightning activity during our late spring and summer. And now here is, try again. This is a very clever graph that was assembled by what I call a citizen climatologist named Charles Fisk. And it shows us not only the season, but also the time of day that Minneapolis experiences thunderstorms. And I think if we just go from the bottom of the graph up and not worry about the horizontal, you can see that in January we don't have very many thunderstorms, and you get into April, and especially right around now, it's kind of when our thunderstorm season begins. And then it really reaches sort of peak season between the end of May and the end of August. And so that's our thunderstorm season. That's showtime. Now look at this. We know that our daylight, this is obvious, it increases dramatically between winter and summer. And I made gopher colors for you guys. The solid maroon trace shows that our sunlight, if you look at the numbers on it, we get about 85% more sunlight in the middle of summer than we do in the wintertime. So that's significant. And if you look at that yellow trace, this is essentially the radiative energy from the sun. And in terms of the energy we receive, that's that gold dashed line, summer is about 5 times winter. So we have a dramatic increase in potential heat energy. And now here's the result, which should be familiar. This is temperature patterns, and you can just see as we get for April, now May, you can see the warm temperatures. This is no surprise, moving northward with the intense sunlight and then retreating southward as the sunlight fades. And we can look at a more local version here, doing the same thing. There's winter giving way to summer. Spring, now summer comes, a surge of warm temperatures, no surprise here. But remember, again, we're talking about thunderstorms. This is the snow cover from one winter retreating and being replaced. If you look in our region, it's being replaced by green. So we go white and then brown when the land is barren like it is right now, and then everything greens up. And if we look at this next slide, this is what we call precipitable water. Now this is not precipitation, but it's water in the atmosphere that could conceivably, if everything was perfect, could fall as precipitation. It's linked to what most of you would just think of as humidity or atmospheric moisture. And you can see the pattern, very subtle, but it surges north with those warm temperatures and with that green up of the landscape. And so the thing about thunderstorms is that they need moisture. They love it. They feed off of it. They live on it and they die on it. And incidentally, we don't get too many thunderstorms before things go green. So this really bad flow diagram shows kind of the magic, which is that you get sunlight, and so our real thunderstorm season is basically driven by, more precipitable water showing up in the atmosphere. You get increased sunlight, which is photosynthetically active, which then enables things to grow again, so the green up happens, and with that green up, you have a new process, well, it's called evapotranspiration, which adds moisture from plants into the atmosphere. Now this evapotranspiration makes huge contributions to the humidity or the water vapor that's in the atmosphere. And without it, we'd be hard-pressed to get those muggy days, and we'd have far fewer thunderstorms here in this region. So yeah, what I call the thunderstorm season, that whole thunderstorm season that I just showed you, is meticulously timed, and it's synchronized by the sun, which provides enough light for plants to leaf out and contribute all of that additional water to reach the atmosphere. And the cool thing is you can watch the entire process that I just described shut down when you get onto the other side of summer. As the sunlight wanes and the leaves don't photosynthesize and the plants stop transmitting moisture, the thunderstorms also stop. So your seasons, they bring you this kind of wonder. So here's a toast to all of them. Thank you, seasons, for being the sensory and experiential manifestation of the sun's far-reaching effect on our atmosphere, the solid earth, water, and life. Toast number one. Hey. This is a night of celebration, so we've got a lot of toasts here. I would like to propose another toast. I'd like to propose a toast to summer. Now, summer is a social creature. It lures us out of our homes to mingle. It brings us to lakes and rivers and to cabins. It makes men take off their shirts and drive around parkways and lakes, blaring loud music. It's the season of festivals and parades. And it's also what I call a destination season. By that I mean, when you get to summer, when you get to summertime, things don't change much. You're there. June, July, and August have far more in common. They're hot, they're humid, than, for example, March and April, or March and April and May, which are very different. Summer and winter are kind of the two destination seasons where things stop changing. Summer is also kind of a feast or famine, and it's very fickle. So here's a feast. The warmth of summer pushes, you've heard of the jet stream, it pushes the jet stream far to our north. And with that, the regional winds and also the winds aloft tend to slow down. And now you have all that strong evapotranspiration in place. And so a very warm summer air mass can also be intensely humid. And if we're in a feasting pattern, then there's often some kind of boundary nearby. And with more moisture around than any other time of year, no strong regional winds, you get a thunderstorm. And this thunderstorm can A, pack a heck of a punch, unleashing extreme rainfall rates, and then B, can park or regenerate over the same place for a fairly long period of time. Thus, it is no surprise that the heart of summer, July and August, is our peak flash flood season. And that's actually, that river with cars floating in it is I-35 from July 1st, 1997, when we had a 3-inch rainfall in about 50 minutes over much of the Twin Cities area. Now, incidentally, there isn't always a boundary around, and moreover, as summer progresses, previous thunderstorms will often warm the upper atmosphere, and that kind of has a stabilizing effect. And so it's pretty common that you'll have the heat, you'll have the humidity, but you will not have the rain, none. And these conditions we've experienced, they're miserable. Heat stress is high, things die. Summer, intuitively, is heat wave season. And it's also when droughts become most dangerous. So in the summer of 1988, which I refer to as the summer of Guns N' Roses, I don't know what you guys call it. Cities and towns throughout Minnesota went above 90 degrees 40 to 50 times. And then that happened with only 1/2 or even in some cases less of the normal rainfall for that same period. So the result was a widespread, severe, and historic drought. Now, only summer can produce this kind of paradox of where you have peak flash floods, or in a pattern that's only different in very subtle ways, intense heat wave. And so for that, we tip our glasses. Summer. Oh wait, I need my summer drink. Shandy. Summer. Now, some of you may know climate change, or you don't have to call it climate change, you can just call it this thing that's happening, with or without your head in the sand. This thing that's happening is benefiting summer more than any season. Now, I am a fan of personification, and I want to think of the seasons as each having this sort of characteristic or character traits. So summer, because of warming, is becoming more like itself. Its character is being strengthened. Fall and spring are skewing towards summer too. They're each becoming more summer-like. And you know what? With the very rapid warming of winter, we probably kind of need to check summer's ego, because it looks around and sees a lot of other seasons copying it. Now, summer so far is being very kind about this. So yeah, you can see the temperatures on a gradual increase through summer in Minnesota, but I want to show you the warmest high temperatures are not warming. So summer is getting warmer, but the highest temperatures are not. And this is also true, you know, if you think of these nights where the temperature doesn't fall below like 1,000 degrees, you keep flipping the pillow, you're trying to find the cool spot, you breathe, and therefore you sweat a gallon. Those nights. It's 11 p.m. and you want to go swimming, you want to peel off your skin and jump in a bucket of ice water. Those nights, we're not seeing an increase in their temperatures either. But I want to talk about those nights for a moment. Because I think we've all gotten away from experiencing the weather, especially when it's extreme. So I have a little story. In the summer of 2011, I had this was a good time. I had a 1988 Toyota Camry it had like 14 million miles on it. It had 2 broken doors, a trunk that wouldn't stay closed, seat cushions that had been mauled by a rhinoceros attack. It had ignition that occasionally engaged, transmission that failed right after engagement, and some sort of like a permeating odor that suggested a heavy smoker had crawled into the radiator and died. And you know you've made it when you're driving a 23-year-old car that stinks to high heaven and doesn't actually drive. But anyway, sometime that summer, it was getting really toasty. So I decided to turn on the AC, and like 5 blasts of death-scented hot air. Later I realized, hey, the air conditioner isn't working. And rather than fixing it, which would have cost me 2 times what I had paid for that piece of junk, I decided, hey, I'm going to try and experience summer the old-fashioned way. Now, if I fast forward past the point where the car's transmission worked only in reverse, and later that December I found myself in a new Camry. Newer, 1996 instead of 88. It was a better car. It was conditionally less stinky and embarrassing than the previous one, and all the doors worked. But I bought it in the winter, and my wintertime purchase caused me to overlook the fact that, again, the air conditioner didn't work. Now, so that summer, again, now 2012, a very hot summer, I thought, okay, I'll just do this again, like everyone used to have to. I'll just kind of tough it out. And it felt kind of noble to subject myself to the full force of summertime heat. But there were 3 people who did not appreciate it. My 2 sons, and probably more influentially, a good friend that I was driving home one sultry evening, and she just put her seatbelt on, and she said, wow, this car smells like you. Like me, that's probably because it's my car and I drive it a lot. And she's like, no, but not like you after you've gotten out of the shower, after you've biked 75 miles with a cargo trailer. That aroma lives in my memory, Kenny. thanks. Are you saying my car stinks? Well, it could use some freshening up. So, in any case, I decided to invest in an AC, getting it fixed, and shortly after I got it fixed, the Freon cartridge failed, and I had to take my kids on a road trip. And for 5 hours, we really felt the heat. I mean, like, really, and there was no getting out of it. And I was reminded, that most of us don't experience the heat very much, or the weather. We can flip on an AC system at home or work in a 70-degree environment and then drive in whatever thermal comfort we desire. And so what's our typical exposure to actual heat? Maybe a few minutes, maybe several minutes. We have found a way to shelter ourselves from it, maybe an hour. But the point is, we really don't notice the heat or the cold in the wintertime until our expected relief from it fails. And then when that happens, from a relatively privileged perspective, we get to see what it used to be like, or what it's like for those who don't have what a lot of us have, when the shade and wind are the only options for staying cool. It's just a reminder that we're generally spoiled rotten by innovation. We seem to forget to account for that when we're griping about the weather. But so next time it's really hot or really cold, just push yourself a little bit. Notice how oppressive the weather would be if you were actually able to be oppressed by it. Now, back to where we were. Our hottest days and warmest nights are not really budging. The warmest temperatures are not going anywhere. What's changing about summer is the coldest days. So the coldest days, and then especially the coldest nights. Look at the the right side of that graph. You see a huge uptick recently. So what we're losing in summer, what's changing about summer, what's making our summers get warmer is not the top going up, but it's the bottom coming up. So, we're not getting hotter so much as not being able to get as cold as we once did. So I say to summer, well, hey, that's really nice. Good on you. Here's to you for being so humble and having such a gentle spirit amid your fiery character. So one more to summer. Cheers. I propose a toast to fall. Fall is a transition season. September often resembles summer, November resembles winter, and in between you get everything. And really, fall is nothing more than winter replacing summer. And, as the sun's strongest rays head south, the winds eventually follow it, which means our winds are coming out of the north. And up north, the sunlight is weaker and fading even faster than it is here, so northerly winds bring in even colder air. Now, here's an example of a very quick air mass changeover that happened in November of 2013. Look at that. One day, see when it was sort of in the dark greens? Those are temperatures in the 50s. And then, within 24 hours, the temperatures are in the teens. That's fall. We get that kind of thing from fall. And we get some vicious severe weather events in September and even October. We've had tornado outbreaks right up until about Halloween. And then we also had the Halloween blizzard in 1991, and we've had a whole slew of other famous autumn-winter storms. We've had quite the variety, and I love to talk about extreme and hazardous weather, but fall's most remarkable quirk has to do with the anomalous production of fantastic, completely unhazardous weather. So since this is a celebration of seasons, I just want to show you what I mean. We'll look briefly at these different seasons. Here's a calendar that begins in April, because it's April now, and so it ends in March. So first, you can see that our thunderstorm season generally is concentrated from just before right now into and maybe through September. Oh, no, I need you back there. Our wildfire season, because we don't have moisture in the ground, or in the plants right now, so wildfire season tends to be in April, and you also get a resurgence of it in October. Severe thunderstorms and tornadoes really peak from May through July. We could quibble about the density and the concentration of our actual severe weather season, but basically, anytime from May 1 through July 31, game is on. And we've seen, again, as I said, we've seen it even later into the season. Flash floods, remember? Feasting, when we're feasting, it tends to be June, July, and August. Heat waves, very close, pretty much same season. Now let's go to our cold friends. Blizzard season is at the end of the fall transition and at the beginning of the spring transition. That's when we get about 60% of our blizzards. The same is true with ice storms, which we don't experience here the way other parts of the country do, but that's changing. And of course, extreme cold sits there in the middle, January, when everything is so cold that it just breaks. Okay, but watch this. Whoa, what is that beautiful golden column? This is the absolute best time of the year. Now wait. I have some statistics for you wedding planners out there. Okay. This is some good stuff. You can't see this graph because it's kind of psychedelic looking. And what it has is about 14 different measuring stations throughout the country and parts of Canada. And they're measuring solar radiation using a pyranometer or a radiometer. What I tried to highlight with that red column is that's the period from September 27th through October 3rd, where the frequency and therefore probability of having clear skies is up to 5 times greater than May, June, almost any other time of the year. And this was actually discovered by climatologists working right here at the University of Minnesota. I think that is a fine contribution to the science. Now, if you remember me talking about the sunlight synchronizing the green up with the thunderstorms, well, this is actually just the other side. The sunlight weakens, the photosynthesis shuts down, which is soon followed by a reduction massively and rapidly of evapotranspiration, which then limits the atmospheric moisture, effectively terminating the rainy season right around September 20th, rainy season done on average, and that pretty much kills the thunderstorm season too. So, now, without evapotranspiration and high humidity, what we're left with are clear skies, dry conditions, and with the sun still reasonably strong, we can get into the 60s, 70s, and 80s fairly easily. And amid those exploding fall colors, this is far and away the nicest time of the year. So, fall. You sleeper. You lavish amazing weather on us after a dirty, sweaty, stinky summer, and then you leave us trembling for what comes next. We drink to you, fall. Winter. My goodness. I propose a toast to winter. Okay, so winter has a big personality. Winter, you know when winter's here. And even worse, you know when it's coming. You can tell when it's not here, but it's on its way. It's like any big personality, winter has this entourage. It sends out way ahead of its arrival. You know, it signals the arrival of the boss. The landscape shifts before it. Migratory birds are like, I'm out of here. People start changing their behavior. They start taking things out of their yard. Like, I've got to move things inside now. Everything's going to freeze and break. Things start transitioning from outside to inside. This all happens long before winter arrives. And no season is more Minnesota than winter. Even if it's unearned, this is what other people know us for. We say lakes and loons and wolves, and other people say, no, winter. You guys have 6 months of it. We are the morons who live here where, you know, if you bring the wrong clothes, you might actually die while you're waiting for the bus. If you're outside for minutes That might cost you some fingers. And as much as we love our summers and our lakes, it's winter, winter. Winter is part of who we are. Winter is what defines us. We live with it for several months of the year. It's a part of our family. And winter, you know, that cold, dark time of the year plays a kind of a cruel joke on us. So sunlight is already weak in the winter and we don't get very much of it. We get like 8 hours. That's not a lot and it's at an incredibly low angle. And so it's already cold and it's already dark. Now, if you put a snowpack down, brand new snow reflects 95% of that incoming sunlight. Well, if it's reflecting the sunlight, then that's sunlight that can't be converted to heat. Well, if the sunlight can't be converted to heat, then you're not going to get any warmth from that already paltry sunlight that you're getting. So if you think of those days where there's a brand new snowpack on the ground, you know, you go into a building and you come out of a meeting, it's always a meeting, you come out of the meeting and it's bright, there's glare on the snow, and it hurts. You're not seeing sunlight merely bouncing off of the snow. You're seeing heat that you could have had escaping from your life. And you know, winter, we love it, or we love hating it. And if each season is a character, or has a sort of seasonal characteristic, winter's is cold. And I gotta say, we think we do snow here because the snow just sticks around forever, but we don't. We are not Boston. We are not Buffalo, New York. We are not the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, or upstate New York, or the mountains, or the places that get nor'easters. We get like 7 inches of snow, and we're like, oh, that's a hell of a snowstorm. We get cold. That's our thing. And I think our relationship to the cold and to winter, this character of winter, it's sort of a lovable, like a villain from a bad movie series. You know, every year's a new movie about winter, and every year winter plays that heel that's a pain in the butt, and it even does Minnesota goodbyes by standing by the door for, 3 months before summer comes. But we're used to that and we expect it. Now remember, I was talking about summer a few minutes ago. All of the climate change, that thing that's happening is strengthening the summer character because it's making summer warmer. Summer gets to become more like itself. Its character is emboldened by what's happening, but not winter. More so than any other season, look at that. More so than any other season, winter is losing itself. It's losing its identity. Its identity is cold. Now, the coldest temperatures, or what makes winter winter, are warming faster than any other temperatures at any other time of year. The coldest nights are getting warmer rapidly. And also, the coldest days, you see the same thing, a long-term trend with a fairly significant uptick in the recent years. And by the way, the blue and the purple are just, you can either take the coldest single reading of the year, or you can take the 15 coldest. Whichever way you look at it, we're getting warmer rapidly. And so things that used to be common no longer are. I like to point out, remember the polar vortex of 2014, January 5th through 7th, the best branded winter event ever in our region? So that event peaked here on January 6th, and everyone talked about how cold it was. Indeed, it was the 173rd coldest day on record in Minneapolis. 173rd. That's what gets our attention now. This wasn't a record-breaking event by any stretch of the imagination. And in fact, going to negative 20 Fahrenheit multiple times per season used to be quite common, and now we don't even do it every year. We only do it in rare years. We didn't do it this winter. We did it last winter. It had been several before we had done it previously. And another benchmark of truly cold weather is high temperatures failing to go above to go above 0 degrees. So these are the number of days where the temperature failed to go above 0 degrees, and you can see again a long-term decline in that. So all these old things that used to be common are now rare. This is all part of those coldest days. What defines winter? Going away, being moderated. And by the way, for those of you who are feeling skeptical, it's not just Minneapolis. Let's look at Sandy Lake Dam, where 0 people live and there's been no urbanization whatsoever. And an even colder benchmark of -25, they used to do it routinely, 6, 7, 8, even 12 times per season, and now 1, 2, 3 if they're lucky. So, winter, you are a conflicting friend. You confound us with discomfort and also the strong sense of self we somehow derive from you. I predict, winter, that we are going to miss you more than we recognize. I predict we mourn your death for decades. So here's to you, winter. May you keep us on our toes and give us a few good ones yet. $90 custom, that was brand new. That's a little heavy, wasn't it? So, spring is our transition to summer. So, I propose we drink to it. By virtue of atmospheric physics, spring is our most entertaining season. I mean, we come out of winter, which, by the way, winter's always going to be dark and cold. It's always going to be the coldest season. Even as we lose what we used to think of as winter, it's still going to be colder than summer unless something astronomically weird happens. But we come out of winter, and the entire atmosphere